Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Better, the podcast mogul, and I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today. Our guest is a highly accomplished entrepreneur with over 17 years of experience in marketing and sales. As the co-founder and CEO of One IMS and a leading inbound marketing and sales agency, as well as ClickX. They have helped businesses double their revenue using the 10X framework. Our guest is an expert in lead generation and customer acquisition, as well as a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. In addition to their work, our guest is also an angel investor and startup advisor. They have helped numerous startups grow and scale by leveraging their marketing, sales, and business strategy expertise. Please welcome our guest, Solomon Timothy. Solomon, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Phil. I'm so excited. That was a crazy intro.
Well, I like to pump up our guests because you guys bring such a wealth of knowledge to my audience. It's only fair that I hype you up and become your little hype man.
I know. I got to live up to that now.
I'm positive you will. I'm positive you will.
100%. So like I said, I'm honored to be here, and I can't wait to dive into anything that's going to help our audience grow their business.
The first thing I want to know is, because I like to start at the very beginning. Like, Solomon, what was it that made you decide to become an entrepreneur? What was your aha moment? Or have you always been an entrepreneur throughout your life?
Yeah, no, I wasn't selling lemonade at age 6 or baseball cards or anything like that. I wanted to. I did buy baseball cards. I do have them still. I have the Jordan cards. Someday, it's going to be worth something. But I didn't buy it to sell things. I bought it because I felt like it was going to add value. When I really realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur is when I realized that I have a skill that others can find it useful. So I'm like a self-taught web developer. I don't know why, just my brain works in a certain way. To this day, I have a lot of developer friends and a lot of developer employees. I just been very techie. A tech obsessed guy, and then other people were lacking this. People don't have enough tech people in their world. Like, they're like, oh, I wish I had a better developer. I wish I had my website. Like, everybody has ideas with their website, but it's not getting done because they don't have a person. So I was that person early on. I built a lot of websites, and then obviously, if you do something for people and they pay you for it, you are an entrepreneur. So I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. It wasn't quite like, oh yeah, I have this master plan. It wasn't. And to this day, I'm trying to serve, help people, and in exchange for them paying me something, right, in return for my time or our resources, our team, so on.
I love that. You're an accidental entrepreneur. I love that. When you finally decided, like, obviously you probably were having your 9-to-5 job before you fell into this accidentally, as you like to say. When did you know that it was time to move from, hey, 9-to-5 to this website business is where it's at, and I'm going to take full advantage of it?
Absolutely. I think it's different for every single person. So there's no like a magic answer. I was actually going to school full time. I was in college. My parents wanted me to graduate college before I did anything. So I was going to college, then I would work after, school. So like, or vice versa. I was actually in work first because I can't work at night. It's like a business. Mm-hmm. And then at 5:40 is my class. So 5:40 to 10 o'clock at night. And so basically I just basically woke up every day except Saturday and Sunday and either worked 40 hours or went to school. So all I had to do was replace the income for my job. And when I replaced the income, sort of like, I think I can sort of do it. Now, again, as an entrepreneur, your income's never the same. This is why I'm still working my ass off to this day, because there's no predictability in a business, right? Like, no predictability, like, whatsoever. If you think you have it, great, let me know. not even SaaS companies with annual contracts have predictability, if that makes sense. So while I was very naive in believing that I could do it, at that point, when you're in your early 20s, you believe you can do anything. Like there's nothing going to get in your way. Nobody. So I was like, oh, this has got to be the thing. I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to do this. And of course, it was rough. And I don't paint a pretty picture because, like I said, it's meant to be, because I coach entrepreneurs today. They come into me with this sort of like, oh, yeah, I mean, I want to be 10 grand, by the 8th of the month. And today's the 9th or whatever. It's like, well, my friend, how many people did you talk to? Nobody. I haven't talked to a single human being. Did you email anybody? Not at all. Then how do you expect to sell something, right? So so I had to learn sales, I had to learn marketing, I had to learn cash flow management, I had to learn it all. But I just wanted to make sure that I have enough money to pay the bills, which at the time I didn't have a bank account, so I just gave my dad the money.
Yeah, why not? Here, Dad, have the money that I'm making.
That's a typical Indian family. As kids, you don't have anything, okay? Your parents have it all. You work for them until you're married. And then maybe,
maybe you'll get out of the family
cultural
business.
Here. Yeah, absolutely. It was a dream. This is a really interesting piece because in America, your parents are kind of done with you when you're 18, right? Like, just like until I'm like, no, like that's a very different thing in our Indian culture. They're never done. They still call me. They're texting me. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but at least you now have your own bank account.
I do have my own bank account. That is absolutely true. I do have my own bank account. I did create my own bank account. And to be honest, I still have the bank account that I created that time, that year. It's not owned by Chase, but like it's a very small digit number. It's not 700 digits like probably today's bank account. But the fact of the matter is, I did eventually started to invest. This podcast is called Invest in Yourself. I started to invest in myself. That's kind of how I got here. Because if I just took that few $1,000s and I put it in the bank, I probably would be broke right now, just due to inflation and how expensive Adobe and everything else is. And Mac laptop is like $4,000 now. It's like, oh my gosh. But long story short, I just kept repeating it. I kept finding customers that needed my services. And I over-delivered every single time with whatever limited knowledge that I had. And then I was like, well, this is like HTML5, CSS3. This was like Flash animation. Like, I don't even know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Like,
I at least do. I do.
I was like, at that time, over-deliver was this huge object on your website that took forever to load. And it was not search engine friendly. It was not read by Google. And that was what was amazing, right? Like, today, I would never build that because Google can't read it and it takes forever to load because we were on 56K, if you remember. Like, this is Solomon, like building Flash websites. Like, it's terrible of all time. Then obviously, I stayed on the Google trend. And so we got rid of all of that. We started to go more and more HTML content, SEO. And that's where the magic started to happen because we started to get our customers more business as a result of working with us rather than a flashy website.
There we go. Which is the goal for any business, is to provide the dollars to your customers, or at least the product that they want. When did you transition into like more lead specific, like lead generation?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great, I think, great piece for any entrepreneur that's trying to figure out how to monetize your passion. So I kind of learned that that's what we needed to go to. By just doing the same thing that we do every day, which is build websites and call it a day, set up their hosting, GoDaddy, and like we're done. And then we would just like check in on them and say like, how's everything going? And they're like, nothing. I have zero money because of you. I don't know what you did. They're like, what do you mean? It just built you an amazing website. Because I had no new customers. We're like, oh man, what is that all about? Like, I didn't know that's what we signed up for. They thought they're getting new customers, and we thought we're getting a client to build a website. So clearly, if your clients are telling you to do something, that's what you need to do. I, again, didn't have a master plan. This is another accidental sort of moment. It's like, oh, got it. Guys, let's meet up, right? Let's huddle up right here because this is where we need to go. And of course, my creative designer girls like, oh no, I like to just build websites and be done with it. I was like, yeah, no, we're missing the point. That is not what the customers want. They want literally phone ringing, because this is an old thing. People don't say that anymore because their phones don't ring. We just text everybody. This was the days where the phone had to ring or else I'm losing that client. So my job was to run Google Ads to make the phone ring. Because if it doesn't ring, they'll be calling me and my phone will be ringing.
Not for the good reasons that we want our phone
good ringing. I can always like, oh no, not Mark. Oh, damn it. Let's look at his ad account real quick. Right? Like that's what it was for us. We were in charge of making the phone ring. I have a shirt that says Rainmaker and all this kind of stuff. Why? Because they truly, truly want to give their lead generation and customer acquisition to an expert that can get it done for them, because they don't have the resources internally, or they don't want to do it internally. It's too complicated. It's too technical. Like I said earlier, they don't have a tech whiz who can run ads and landing pages and funnels and whatever else. And so that's when we realized, like, we're not in the pretty website business anymore. We're in the lead generation and customer acquisition business, and we've never changed since.
I love it. And that brought you to ClickX. And like, how did ClickX come to be and like grow?
Yeah.
Like, I'm always interested in like the why.
You're getting all these accidents out of me. So when we were trying to grow this service-based business, which I love talking about scaling a service-based business because we've done it. And it's really hard to scale a service-based business. So if you're like in the catering world, you're a photographer, whatever you are, you're providing a service, you have to like multiply yourself, right? You need to have more cooks, more dishes and pots and pans to cook 10 times more, if you think about it. And so like, how do we do that? Well, we knew that our inefficiencies in our business kind of were in onboarding clients or selling, the client management, which is reporting. There's all these areas where we felt like our labor time was too much. We spend a lot of time making reports every month because we had to please our customers, right? Our customers don't quite know how to put an ROI on our service. Like, why do I pay you guys all this much? And like, we have to show you charts and graphs about everything is going up, Mr. Customer. Everything's looking great. This is hockey stick growth. Keep paying us. So we had to spend all this time, which is valuable resources. We said, hey, Google has API. Google Ads have API. All these tools like phone call tracking and all of these things have an API. We want to put all of that together into a dashboard to save my poor people from spending 20 to 30 hours at the beginning of the month making reports. Does that make sense? Like proving ourselves, proving the ROI. So that was our software, kind of like jumping into the software world, and me being this techie guy. I'm like, oh, I know my competitors have digital dashboards and everything. We don't. So let's take our little bit of money that we made and invest into building a software. So we use that software primarily for us to get more customers faster, eliminating the time and the need of my team making all these reports. We give this dashboard to our clients. They log in 24 hours a day. They can see everything. They can listen to the phone calls. They're like, wow, if I don't see my phone ringing, then I go to the dashboard. If I don't see any new calls, that means it's not ringing, right? Like we are now transparent. There's no, I'm not hiding anything. And also my team don't have to pull up all these reports to please one client. We just go to the dashboard, go to their thing. All their AdWords, analytics, SEO, everything is in one place, including number of leads that we generated and the calls. And we started to uncover that our clients wasn't having a call problem. Their people were putting people on hold and they wouldn't even pick up the phone on 6 rings. And we're like, oh, wait, thank goodness that we're not the problem anymore. So it actually helped us out. So we became a software, kind of like a tech-enabled sort of service company to scale the service business, if that makes sense. So, and that led us to where it is today, which is we primarily work for agencies like we were 5 years ago that are looking to scale, but they don't have the systems. They don't know the process. They don't know how to duplicate it. They don't know how to make things efficiently. And so I kind of wear both hats, but it's still in the agency space. I'm still, at the end of the day, serving a small business owner that is looking to grow their business, but it might be in the means of another agency or ourselves, if that makes sense.
I love that. I love how you're still giving back to where you were 5 years ago when these people didn't have the revenue to invest
Right.
in some sort of dashboard or the coaching necessary. You're like, hey, I got you. Here we go with this ClickX. We use it internally. That's why we're sharing it. We know what it's worth,
Correct.
and then it
Yeah.
helps all your clients go bigger and bigger. I love that. Where do you see yourself going in the next, let's say, 10 years from now? We flip the phone.
Yeah.
We're 10
No.
years in advance.
So it's there's never a dull day in my life, which is why I'm still here after this long. I'm shocked often. I'm like, I can't believe it's been that long. I remember when I was working out of our house, I didn't like get the office. My dad did. He wanted to get me out. It was like, enough is enough. You guys need to get your business out of this house. He went and signed up, and he got me, like, I think he paid the first month because he just wanted me out of there. Then I never looked back. Like I said, we constantly listen to our customers. And it wasn't that long ago, I used to take sales calls for ClickX. I took like hundreds and hundreds of sales calls to see what our customers are really saying. What are they struggling with? Because for us, it's just finding more solutions, more cost-effective solutions to help their problems. And like, that is the best thing an entrepreneur can do, is go be really good at finding problems that other people don't want to solve because it's too much to solve, too big of a problem to solve. Look at Elon, right? He went and found a really, really good problem. And then as a result, he's whatever he is, right? So there's all these challenges that we're facing in all of our industries. I'm sure there is a podcast host problem out there, which could be distribution of content or something else that you can solve and then next become the next, whatever it is. So I still to this day try to understand what are the real problems my customers are having that I have yet to solve, right, for them, or we don't have a feature in our product. On the agency side is much more of where Google is today and how expensive it is to run ads on Google or LinkedIn or something like that. And how do we squeeze as much juice as we can from their marketing investment? So it's much more with marketing automation and helping any and all of their traffic turn into customers or leads, and then making sure that every single lead is touched so that it's automatically happening. And our customers don't have to have a salesperson sit there and try to text these people or call them or nurture them. It's doing things automatically. And like, that's a big problem because we're living in a world where it's not easy to get the best, unicorn talent. Does that make sense? So if you can have software do a lot of that, and it's hyper personalized, so that our end customers or that prospect doesn't feel like a mass email, right? It doesn't feel like, hi there, right? Because I don't want to see that. Like, hi there. Like, I think we can get out of there. We're 2023 going into 2024. We need to stop sending things that are not personalized, or I like to say uber personalized. Like, what are their problems? And then speak to that. And we need to do that at scale. And that's what we try to do on the agency side. So it just gets harder and harder, but there's always tech that can solve some of this. And we implement it, we coach them, fix it up, and measure it so we can make it even better.
I love it. I do have some questions. Give me a second here. Yes, it's about you being an author. So being a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author is a remarkable feat. We've had a few bestselling authors on the podcast, and I always love that. But how has your experience as an author influenced your approach to business, and what lessons from writing do you believe entrepreneurs can apply to their professional journey?
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of people out there that want to write a book. It's on their to-do list, but they just never get around to it. And I was one of those people. I still have a book. It's about 50,000 words and it hasn't seen daylight yet because I wanted to get that other book out first. And it's in the works, maybe in the next year or two, whatever, that this will come out. It takes a lot of time and energy to get anything out into the world. So first and foremost, for those that might want to do something like that in the future, I want you to do it. And the reason why I want to do that is not actually to get fame and all of that. It's actually to make impact. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today. Like, I spend a lot of my time giving back. What can I do to the people? Like, we have our software at ClickX is free. Anybody can afford free. There's not a person that told me they can't afford us. That was a strategic decision that we made because we want to make sure that people don't have to spend $200 or $300 to get access to our product. Maybe they need to spend some money to upgrade and get more features, but the base product, which has tons of bells and whistles, is free. And we're not a venture capital company. We have no secret strategy behind, free sign up other than to see what can we do to serve. We have people from all the countries in the world emailing, some of which, right, like we don't ever plan on doing business in Kenya or wherever it is. Like they're like, oh, I'm in your application. Like, can you do this? Can you sell Facebook ads to the Kenyan market? We're like, we've never done that. I don't know.
We'll try.
Because when you make it free, like, yeah, there's no stop, like anybody. And I'm grateful. So it's an impact-driven sort of a decision, and I'd like to continue to do that. I want to give as much of my knowledge back for free, no cost. I think the last one we published is 99 cents on Amazon Kindle because it's the lowest price you can charge. And the reason is I don't even care if we get bad reviews, because if I never put something out there, nobody would have been able to get the value, right? Does that make sense? Like, I want people to just take the first step. I watched a presentation the other day. This guy's into kickboxing or whatever, the black belt and all that. He says, do you know what the hardest belt to get is? I was like, black belt. I'm like, duh. He's like, no, it's the white belt. Because white belt requires you to get started, and nobody wants to get started. And if once you get started to get the white belt, he's like, just keep going. Eventually, with discipline, you'll get the black belt. I was like, I never thought of that. And I felt like that's the same exact thing when it comes to writing this book. It's just like I needed to just put it out there. And the chapter is called basically Differentiate or Die. That's like my own entire experience being a marketing guy into this one thing, right? Like differentiate or die. Why? Because if you and I can't set apart, Nike from every other brand, if you can't stand out, you're going to have a really hard time making impact in this world. And most coaches, most consultants, most small business owner, most selling whatever widget, they do not know why they're different. They know that their customer service is better. They know their product ingredient is good. They know they have better warranty. But does their customer know that? No, right? Does their website say front and center, this is why you would work with us? No, right? So that's the thing I want you to understand, is that was the thing that led me to say, you know what? I want to let the world know about this. How do I do that? Write a book.
I love it. I
don't want any money. I just want to make massive impact, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I love that place, because it comes from a place of gratitude to the world for having the opportunity to share your knowledge with everybody. And that's why like you said, you give ClickX for free with a whole bunch of bells and whistles. You put your price on your books as low as possible, specifically so that as many people can have access to it and learn. And that's great.
Absolutely. And then the more successful we become, I want to do much, much more bigger free things, if that makes sense. Why? Because like I said, we finally can. Yeah. When everybody else is trying to make a profit. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it. But also, I guess it just kind of come from the kind of parenting that I got. It was much more giving back than hoarding it, if that makes sense.
No, I love it. And I love that kind of change that I'm seeing with entrepreneurs, is the more giving back. Yeah, you have to be selfish a bit for yourself, but give of yourself as well, so that you can help people grow. I do want to talk about your role as an angel investor and startup advisor. You've played a crucial part in helping numerous startups grow and scale. What essential qualities or strategies do you look for in a startup, and how do you guide them in navigating the challenges of early stage entrepreneurialism?
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to work at 1871 as a mentor. And it was, again, more an opportunity to go meet startup founders that, wouldn't be able to afford, a consultant for $200 an hour or something, because they really are pre-revenue. So you just give your time to meet some cool people and to just dive back. In fact, right before this, there was a young lady who's like $1.5 million in revenue, trying to grow, and they're having a hard time finding like this growth person, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just spent some time investing into like what she should look for. So like the thing that really I'm passionate about is people. Kind of know myself, and the thing that I love the most is people. They just excite me. They motivate me. So what I look for is this person somebody I want to invest my energy and time, money, whatever with, because oftentimes the challenges that they face is not even money. It's like what to do, but what they're stuck, right? What marketing channel should I do? What kind of ads can I run? So my job isn't to like become the next Shark Tank. I don't know what it is. It's much more of how do I help that entrepreneur who could actually be something that don't know what to do and they don't have enough money, where they could probably give me a piece of their company, right? Like, hey, like if we get somewhere, we're both going to win. Okay, sure, because that excites me more than money. Because, like I said, I want to make the next whatever it is, right? So I want to make the next Airbnb, and I'm sure Phil, you want to be part of that too, right? So like, and I don't know what is going to be the next big thing. I sure know that the thing that I'm doing is not the next whatever it is, because it's very much a service-based or coaching, or it's something that the world needs. Is not going to be the next Google, because it's not some AI, whatever. But a lot of people out there is solving problems that they're seeing in the marketplace, but they could use my insights or my team's insights. We'll build them websites or whatever they need in order to get out into the marketplace and start competing for services. I mean, it's one of the things that I think is really important for our audience to understand is that I went back to just going and doing, or the white belt and all of that. There's never been a place, this time that we're living in, whenever you listen to this podcast or watch this video, there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur to start something. Honestly, never, ever. Has it been easier when you have ChatGPT? You can write your old business plan. You can write your email campaign. You can do your landing page. I cannot imagine. I paid thousands and thousands of dollars for my website copy. For my first website, even the one from 2 years ago. And I still have copywriters that write our content because, like I said, just because ChatGPT is there, it doesn't mean like it's got the best quality of content or in your tone or voice or whatnot. So I still have manual editors and so on. But for a brand new entrepreneur with $0 on a free account of ChatGPT, you could do a whole lot of damage, right? It's like how you couldn't have done that. Not all entrepreneurs are good writers and designers, developers, but there'll be a day you can make your logo. Well, they can do that now, but it'll make your website and it'll make your everything. And then what's your excuse? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, why aren't you doing it anymore, right? At this moment, it's on you. It's not what is possible or what tool that we don't have. We have it all, man. For $20 on ChatGPT plugins, I'm sure it can do some magic.
All right.
And I don't even have the $20 version. But think about it. If that much things are accessible and the cost of failure is like, you're not losing $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 to test your idea. You're testing $5 a day on Facebook. Like, you have no excuse not to do the thing that you're passionate about.
I love that, and it's very true. We're coming to the end, and I hate this, Solomon, because you're just dropping wisdom after wisdom, knockout blows after knockout blows with what you're talking about. However, I do have a very personal question to ask you. Well, it's more personal on my end. I'm writing a book for my nephew. He's 5 years old. I want to give it to him when he's 10. So I want to know, what is the advice you would give to the 10-year-old version of yourself? I have 10-year-old Solomon right beside me. What advice are you giving 10-year-old Solomon?
Solomon's still 10 years old inside, just so you know. Most of my ideas are pretty crayon based. It's not even ready to hold a marker yet. And the reason is I want to take more risks. The little Solomon inside me wants to take more risk. And that would be my advice for your nephew or anybody that's 10 years old or want to, right? Increase their, enlarge their territory, whatever it is, you got to take more risk. And it is the opposite of what our parents might want to tell you, or your CPA wants to tell you, or your attorney wants to tell you, or anybody you take your advice from. But if you don't take risks, you will see literally no reward. And I haven't seen anything that gives you enormous amount of reward with little to no risk other than starting a business, or you know what I mean? Like these things, these are like low risk, but you're not willing to take any risk, like filing your company for $500 or whatever it takes to make an LLC, or risking $20 a day on Facebook ads, or paying somebody for their advice because they failed a million times. And just because they got a couple of things right, they know some things. That's what I try to do. I'm like, here, just like, don't fail. Here's what I did. Here's my template. Here's my proposal. Like, I try to give them 100 million times more ROI than what they have ever paid. Why? Because I just want them to get to success faster. And I also don't want them to not risk in the future. Does that make sense? Oh, I tried it. It didn't work. Man, risk. What do you have to lose? If you could still live in the same house that you live in after taking the risk, do it. Like, you're not losing your car, or, you know what I mean? You're not losing your kid, or you're not losing. No. And I feel like we've come to, like, a lot of entrepreneurs take great risks. Don't get me wrong. But the uber successful entrepreneurs are taking insane risks. And I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to take a $500 risk, take a $1,000 risk, and take a risk that hurts. Does that make sense? Like, oh man, that hurt. Why? Because you would work hard to make that risk become a good return for you. Sometimes we take a small risk, a $150 risk. We're like, yeah, it didn't hurt because, but if you take a $1,500 risk, and that's not a big one. When we went to build the software, and we're a small agency at the time. This was a long time ago. Our service company wasn't going to grow as fast as I wanted to because we didn't have the tools to automate things. That was a $10,000 a month contract for a development company. I did not have the cash flow to pay 10 grand for infinity. Does that make sense? We still do it into this month, way more than 10 grand. But I didn't have that. But had I not taken the risk, I wouldn't have been able to scale the service company. I wouldn't have to have the other thing and all the other things that I learned as a result. And if you ask any normal human being, should you do that on paper? It's a terrible idea. Your CPA will tell you it's a terrible idea, don't do it. But I was like, this is the only thing that I could do to make my company grow because I don't want to hire more people to solve a people problem. I need to solve it by using technology where my people could go to sleep and it'll still work. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I had to do that. And I scraped up somehow. And somebody says, I don't have money to do it. You'll find money. When you want to do it, you will find money. I promise. I found money and I can't even imagine how I did it. But not only did it for that, I did it for years and years and years before it turned positive cash flow. And that's what I'm talking about. Take more risk.
I love it. That's some great advice. I can't wait to see it written down with your advice next to it. Solomon, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know where they can connect with you, where they can find ClickX, all that fun stuff. So the floor, sir, is again yours.
Absolutely. So the best place to find me at timothy.com. That's TIMOTHY.com. Our ClickX website is clickx.io.
Excellent. Solomon, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I had an incredible time talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Phil. It was awesome.
Thank you. To my audience, if you're looking to connect with Solomon, check the show notes down below to find out everything about ClickX and, of course, Solomon and where to find them. And always remember to invest in yourself.